Hey Cancer, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. General reading. Take what works, leave what doesn't. If I don't catch a wavelength, or even if I do, feel free to check your other major placements. Over here on YouTube, we're doing an oracle reading. If that makes sense to you, resonates with you, go ahead and join me over on Vimeo for the more traditional tarot spread. More details, that kind of thing. And feel free to like or subscribe or not, as you wish. We'll all be okay either way. Oh, right, we have, oh, this is funny. We have like a bit of a storyline coming out here. Quite a few cards. Not unfamiliar cards from recent days. Okay. Huh. Okay, we have risk here. This one's right on top. Needing to take a risk, something feeling a bit risky. Risk, there's risks. Looking for an opening, we're not taking foolish risks, right? This one's not diving into the wave to grab the clam. They are, diving in between waves. There's a little bit of tumultuous environment here. One is not taking risks, and one is taking risks. So there might be some risky maneuver, taking a risk. Something's a little risky here. And we definitely are aware of that because we have fear here. So this card's been showing up quite a bit lately. We have this thing that looks like something real. I mean, this fear is real and fear is important. It's a very important feeling. I was, seeing something that was like, no fear, and we need to teach our children to not be afraid. And I think I saw where they were coming from with that, but actually fear is a very good self-preservation thing. As you know, possibly my feelings on emotions are that they're all just information coming in, and we decide what we do with it, right? We don't want to live in fear. Here is a lot of people allowing themselves to be controlled by fear. Here we have an authority figure having sort of put up a proxy authority figure to keep everyone afraid. But this crow is one that, this is you, and this is one that's going to explore this. This isn't actually Mr. McGregor, the farmer. This is a mock-up of Mr. McGregor. This doesn't have, a gun. They're not going to shoot the crows. This is just like stay away from something. So there's a sense in this card where somebody has wanted you to be afraid. They get something out of that. They can preserve, their harvest or what they perceive as theirs. Of course, with our animal friends, our property really isn't our property. We share. So this is something to be explored, something that you're afraid of, your fears, exploring those fears. This fear heightens the sense of risk here, but there is something to be explored and to look into. Fears are terrible if we never look into them and we just take them as truth. But if we want to explore some kind of fear or figure out, what is this something really to be afraid of? And you're going to have to take a risk to find out, right? You're going to have to take a risk to find out. But this crow does a stepwise risk. This crow doesn't do doesn't just go directly to the sitting on the hat. This is actually like a picture about a true story about a crow approaching fear bit by bit over several days. And figuring out how far they can go with something. And then they figure out the truth of the situation, which is that this is just a mock-up. This isn't really, it's not real. So there are real things to be afraid of, and I think that's why this crow is taking these risks to figure it out, because what if you could get what you wanted if you weren't afraid? So is this something to truly fear or not? I feel like some things are not to be afraid of, but to be cautious of, or to move more delicately around, to be aware that something can be dangerous. So maybe with this risk card here, you might be taking risks to overcome fears, or risks to face fears, or you might be realizing that part of this fear is based in reality and calculating your risks accordingly. We have Okay. We have community here. So there are people around you. You do have community. This may be a risk taken with a work group, a risk that something having to do with a community. You may be frightened of a community, of a group of people. But I feel like this is more like a supportive community. But again, you're the only one willing to take the risk here or willing to find out more. There is like some leadership within this community, within this group. So community can be family, can be chosen groups we associate with, can be work groups, can be neighborhoods. But this is people that you live with, people that you work with. There is a sense of leadership. There is a leader here. And maybe that's you taking leadership and approaching these fears and taking these risks. There's something here about nature too. Again, we have this group, this community, and maybe it's an online community, right? Because the birds are literally online here. So maybe there's this online community or something, but that shows up in multiple ways, actually. There's a lot of group here. So we have this nature here. Maybe getting out in nature. Again, there's this other companion that's maybe at a distance here, taking two different routes, but there's a meeting in nature. This can also be, I feel like this can also just be the nature of the issue, is that there is fear here and that it is going to be a risk. And that's just the nature of the situation. I also feel like it could be just the nature of whoever you're dealing with, having to deal with something that just kind of is what it is. But there's also a sense of creating space in a situation, creating space to refocus, connecting with nature. But I also feel like this is coming in with the nature of the situation is that that it's risky, that fear is natural here. This could be an interaction with a community. And that we're dealing with like people's nature, like just this is who you are, this is how the situation is. There's, to me, this nature card is coming in with just this is what is. This is just how everyone is here. It's not it's the nature of the situation. It's the nature of the issue. It's the nature of life. It's the nature of fear. Just understanding that I think that these things are natural, and that the nature of the thing cannot be changed is what I'm feeling. And then we have Mischief. So Mischief comes in with, I think, this fear card. It's reminding me of the scarecrow, and our Mr. McGregor here, our little farmer, has created some mischief. And this mischief has created some fear and maybe makes something feel very risky. So Mischief, they're sort of teasing at this cat. Are they going to eat the cat alive? No. But they are kind of enjoying, there's a little bit of mischief at foot here. It reminds me of, like, are they playing or are they not playing? That sort of situation, or the teasing nature, the nature of teasing, which I don't enjoy, but apparently people do. But this cat could run away when this cat feels like it's actually in danger, that the situation is dangerous. It has escape routes. But for now, there's just mischief, and this cat appears to be sort of alarmingly consenting to the mischief. So it's not trying to create big trouble. It's just, there's a little bit of a hassle here. And this hassle could create an outsized fear response, or fear, but you're not letting this sort of hassle. That's more what I feel like is sort of a hassle, feeling a little harassed or a little harangued, or like too much is it's just a little too much, right? Because this mischief here, to me, it looks like a little slightly more than just playing around. It looks like it's just a little more intense than playing around. But But I mean, I see in both this cat and in you right here, this sort of cautious awareness of what the situation that the situation could be dangerous. But until it actually is, we're not really freaking out. The fear and the mischief, I feel like you're both the one being harried and the one, that overcomes this. And in both of this, the thing that's coming through really clearly is that this cat is not having a panic attack or freaking out. The cat is cautiously watching the situation unfold. And is it a bit of a risk? Probably. It could be with your community, with your family, cautiously watching a situation unfold that could be a little bothersome, but hasn't quite reached panic levels. Could be tapping into something there, though. And then we have nature. I feel like maybe this mischief is just the nature of the thing, the nature of what you're doing, right? We have this too, right? This risk. The crow is taking the risk, in part because that's the crow's, it's not the crow's nature. It's like this is just the natural environment. The environment just is containing some amount of risk here. There is some amount of risk involved, and that's just the nature of the situation. And I see that you're not ready to, you're alert, you're on alert, and you're alertly exploring what the situation is and what's going on here. This will probably have to do with a community that you're part of, a group that you're part of in some way. And it's just the nature of the situation. It's not intentional, or it's not someone acting against their own nature. If someone is creating mischief for you on purpose, that is just who they are. You can take that as this is not some anomaly. This is just who this person is they create these situations. But I see you just like very calmly facing your fears, or not calmly. There's a sense of alarm. You're aware that the situation contains risk. Could one of these crows actually puncture you? Yes. So, and you're just cautiously aware, ready to bolt should the situation go that far. This is routine. There's some sort of routine here. And I see that with the risk too, right? I was talking about the waves coming in and you taking calculated risks. And that's what I feel like this cat's doing here, is a calculated risk. But there's a routine here. There's a flow here. So you may have been here before. And this may have to do with a work routine, right? We have community, so a work community, something like that, something happening at work with the work group, right? We have this community. They all, go to sleep together and then go to work together. There's this routine in this community. So that was what makes me think this is people that you might live with, that you have some sort of routine with. So a work group or something like that. Where we go and we come back. Anyway, there's some sort of routine with this community. It's maybe a community you meet with every week, a community that there's some sort of regularity. It's part of your regular routine. So there's some sort of mischief afoot here, and you are cautiously putting up with it, is what I'm seeing. Cautiously putting up with this mischief. And it's just the nature. It could just be the nature of the routine, the nature of the day-to-day activity, or the nature of this community, is that there's going to be some risk involved. Interesting. But there's a sense where a lot of the community hangs back, doesn't take these risks. Oh, I'm glad. I think I'm very interested in seeing this. This card here, pure nature. So pure nature, we can add it into our understanding of this card. There's a transition here that's happening that can't be reversed. That's the nature of the thing. The nature of the thing is to grow. It's a little bit more positive reading than I was getting at the beginning here, is growth, right? This is the sort of the adolescence card. Like once you hit adolescence, you don't get to go back to being a child, to having your child body, having your child perceptions, right? Once something's out of the bag, it's out of the bag. Once something's like blossomed, unbloomed, we can't put it back into the rose. So this is the nature of irreversible change, and it's inevitable. It must happen. Irreversible change has to happen in our life. So the nature, this is just like sort of growing up or hitting some new level in life, and you're not going to be able to go back to who you were before. So so I like, right, we got nature and pure nature. How affirming is that we're hitting something on the right track. So that's the nature of the rose. The bud must bloom and it cannot go back. So we're dealing with sort of, that's the nature of this situation, is you will not, is it, once something occurs, it can't go back. I kind of see, like, once this cat knows about these crows and what they do, yeah, it might put up with it. It reminds me of how I deal with things sometimes when I like accidentally buy like an $8 organic tomato. I'll be like, an $8 organic tomato. No, I'm not going to put it back, but I will never buy a tomato here again. Thank you. That will be all from me. So it's just like, once I know that, I can't go back to unknowing that farmer's market booth sells $8 tomatoes. Like, I'm sure it's worth it on their end, but on my end, I love a good tomato, but no, thank you. So it reminds me of that, is like, once I have that experience, yeah, I won't come back. I'll buy it. I don't want to like hassle the whole thing, but I won't be coming back. So that's a little bit of what I see here too, is like, once something happens, you may put up with it right now, but you're not going to go back, because I'm also seeing that it's that nature of that community or that situation to do that. That's the nature of it. So, so if you're learning something or something's being opened up right now, you know, it's good to understand, it's good to investigate that, but a possible understanding is that that's just the way that thing is. It maybe always has been. You've just seen it in bud form. And now that it's in full bloom, you're getting a different perspective. And then we have rose garden here, which I think is interesting, because we have this rose here, we have this rose bud here, same black hair. This is almost like further down the line. This is having good boundaries. So again, what I saw, like, this cat's like, okay, this is interesting. I'm very uncomfortable with this, and I will never like play with you guys again, or whatever, right? So rose garden, having good boundaries, protecting what's yours, protecting what you have invested in. Yeah, having good boundaries. Like, we're taking risks, but we're also taking calculated risks, and we're having what do you call that? So the situation's changed. Again, this is about situation, some sort of situation changing, right? And we're bringing ourselves into the world, our true purpose here. And we understand now that there are risks to this. And so we have mitigating factors to account for those risks. And what if this doesn't turn out? Okay, then this is my alternative, whatever. This is, so, right, we're trying to bring this bud, we're opening up, we're becoming more of who we are, but that also means that there are more, I don't want to say predators, I see more like a cow coming through a rose garden and intentionally gobbling up all the roses. So we have thorns, and that's why the rose, you know, something so sweet and so wonderful as you needs to have some roses on it, or some thorns on it, right? And I see that again, we have a change. It has occurred. We've gone from more innocent to more experienced, more aware of what's going on. We've gone from, you know, this ground crawling caterpillar. We've transformed and we've changed, and it's a time for boundaries and better boundaries. I think you guys got this last time, boundaries again, but pure nature or rose garden is about protecting your own growth and having good boundaries. Because I do see that it's just someone's nature to this would definitely be pushing some boundaries and stretching them. If you've set them, this situation is somebody really pushing on them, and it may be very triggering for you. We have home in the sky, some sort of stagnant energy. So you may be coming out of a stagnant energy in a place, you know, where transformation is happening. And I love this home in the sky because it's echoing both of these. Routine, it can be a routine that's grown a little stagnant. Again, we have a community here, we have a community, and we have where they live. So living in community, or the people that you live with, the family that you live with. But these ones aren't talking. This is stagnant energy, which can come in with routine. I'm not a fan of routine, so anytime I hear the word, my mind goes to stagnant energy. I know lots of people love routine and find it really important. So I don't want to diss other people's processes and what they need, but routine, community, home in the sky, and this is some sort of stagnancy that's come in, or some sort of routine. Like, we always do this. We always have this argument, or we always, this is the nature of the relationship, but it's gotten very routine and very stagnant. So these birds could go off and do whatever they want, but they're not. And it says that at home in the sky. And so it could be just some comfort level with the routine and with the people that you're with, and you may be comfortable with something as it's been. But I see that this is changing. This routine is changing with this pure nature and this rose garden. We're changing, and we're going to need some other way to deal with the changes. So, yeah, this a little bit of stagnancy, right? This has like some smog in it, and nobody's talking, and everyone, there's isolation here too. So that may be part of the routine as well. And then we have House of Flowers. So we have sort of in this routine something exciting, in this sort of stable routine, something exciting busting out here, right? This is this 4 square house is high stability. Again, it's talking to me about this routine in this community, and something having to do with home and where you live. And there's some sort of exciting thing coming in here, blossoming, blooming in here. But right, this is routine, and this is home. So something about your home routine has gotten a little stagnant, maybe a little risky to change something up. I think once you change it, though, you can't go back. And so that's why there are a lot of very natural, normal fears about this. And again, there could be somebody sort of pushing some buttons here, and you needing to have some better boundaries. So if that was helpful, oh my gosh, we have to take this one from my new deck. Lobster, simplicity, steadfastness, and safety. Definitely thinking about some safety issues here and the risks. And the steadfastness definitely speaks to me about routine. And the prayer here is, curious creature exploring deep waters, guide me to a new discovery. Like that, especially with this, the new discovery and that risk required for that new discovery. All right. So if that was helpful for you, join me over on Vimeo for a more traditional tarot spread, a continuation from the story. So see you guys later.